All right, we'll begin the Aspire meeting of February 2nd. And we will start with any public comment not pertaining to any agendized items today. Any speaker slips?
No physical speaker slips. If anyone attending remotely would like to speak on an item not on today's agenda, raise your hand and I'll call on you.
Oh,
I'll see.
we do have one.
Okay.
Okay, you can come to the podium or the desk and one of the microphones. And I'll take your speaker slip. Huh? Are you wanting to speak on an item not on the agenda? Okay, okay. All right, then we'll close public comment and move on to the agenda status report.
No known changes for today's agenda.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm pinch hitting this morning. I did send an email out to the planners. I didn't get any response in terms of like there being any sort of continuance request or anything. So if someone doesn't show up, maybe that
Okay.
would be one.
There was a major file error, like we couldn't see something. Should I mention it now? So the Lacombe Country Club item, the files in the box, only had a title sheet. It was like 133 pages long and only had a title sheet. So I just wanted to maybe give the applicant a heads up or see if the,
Already resolved.
okay, great.
I hope. So Ms. Perez already sent me a revised Dropbox link, which I downloaded the files and put it. So unfortunately, that means that you guys are all be seeing it fresh.
Yeah,
But
okay.
There was also another item that had, again, humongous files, like 170 something megabytes. So
Will not open.
yeah, planners are still not getting the message on that.
Okay,
After 4
maybe
years.
if you can point that out when we get there.
I don't remember which one.
I have a number of hands
Yeah,
to
the-
smack.
There is a feature in every Adobe Acrobat. It's a save as a small size PDF, and that the 170 will be reduced to 30 or something like that.
Yeah, only if you subscribe to it, though. It's $15 a month.
Well, but the county
Sure.
has all the money
Yeah.
to subscribe, and the planner in charge should really do that, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, we will move on to the reviewing the minutes from January 19th. Which in the folder, I'm seeing minutes from the 5th.
Actually, it was it's item number 2. That's 172 megs. Item number 2, 172 megabytes.
I have I have the correct set open on the screen. So
We'll just go through.
Okay, great.
just let me know when you want me to stop.
Okay, we can, yeah. Three. We can go to 4. Next. Good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think the first sentence should say, provide site plan showing what is legally permitted, what is as built, and the proposed additions. It's not just details, it's just the site plan with hatching or some kind of identifying that.
Okay. Yeah. Is that the last one? All right, anybody want to make a motion to?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
All those in-
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
I have to recuse. I think I was not present.
I was absent as well.
Oh, we still have a quorum. Okay. All right, and we'll move on to SBAR members' informational briefings. Anyone have anything for today?
Yeah.
I need to take a brief recess from 11:55 to 12:05, so, okay.
And I will not be here for the next meeting. On the 16th.
Oh. All right. And is there a staff update?
Nothing for me.
Good
I'm not sure.
morning. Yeah, good morning, Madam Chair. Joe's here and nothing from me this morning.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to, we went to 2 site visits this morning. We'll move on to item 1. The Solifan, at the request of Steve Walton, agent for William and Tiggy Sullivan. The property is on Via Valverde in the Eastern Glida Community Plan area. We went to the site visit this morning and I'll read this description. We're preliminary review of a new residence, 4,171 square feet and a 863 square foot garage and a 610 square foot pool. There's currently a pump house on the site. The project will require 210 cubic yards of cut and 1,200 cubic yards of fill. It's on a 4.04 acre parcel. And there were comments previously. Would the applicant like to go through them individually or have me read them? Read them? Okay. All right. Paragraph. So architecture is appropriate, nice project. Provide more photos showing how the project relates to the neighboring houses and showing neighboring houses on the site plan. Stagger the planting and mixed species rather than having a formal hedge to soften the edge. The board appreciates the new trees to help ground the structure, study where trees and hedges are proposed to be located and how that affects the existing neighboring views. Work with the neighbors regarding location of trees. Site visit is required and information on the site access to be given to the planner to distribute to board members. So if you can introduce yourselves and give us your presentation.
And there we go. Thank you, Madam Chair. Steve Welton from SEPS. We're the agent for the owner.
Glenn Deisler from Designer.
Mark Shields with Designer.
Jessica Harlan with Barefoot Design.
And then just real briefly, we were with you in July last year. Since then, we've worked with staff and received approval from the zoning administrator in December 18th for the CDP. There were no members of the public that attended that meeting of interest. And for that, I'll hand it off to Mark to walk through the drawings and show you how we responded.
I guess you can just proceed. It's just to remind everybody, it's a 1-story home on 4 acres and Mediterranean style, plaster, mission tile roof, loggias, stone base here and there, Santa Barbara sandstone. So really modest in terms of height and style, I guess I would say. Next, please. Keep moving. Keep moving. We should go to the landscape. I think I don't know if I need to review all the photos again. You guys were out there this morning. Yeah, okay. Let's just keep moving. The site plan, I think, would be the best with the rendered site plan from landscape. That's good. That's helpful. I think one of the comments that we carefully addressed from the last meeting was the concern from a few neighbors about their view corridors. There is a nice view from the property to the northwest of the mountain range descending to the west. And so the property is very barren. It's just non-native grasses and an arroyo to the north that we had environmental setbacks to deal with. But ultimately, we wanted to blend the overall landscaping into the natural environment by adding a few of the oak trees, which are shown in light green in this overall map to the right. But we also placed them carefully to be respectful of all of the neighbors' views towards the mountains. So you can see the homes that surround the property and the view corridors that we kept open from each residence. Granted, each residence has a different view of the mountains. And so it was a bit of an exercise, but Jessica helped us with that, just because our landscape architect. And we feel it's a nice step in the right direction to respect the neighbors' view corridors. I think keep going. Don't have a lot to say about the site plan. You guys have seen that in the overall plan. I think you were very complimentary about the architecture at our last meeting. It hasn't changed much at all. We just have more details. I don't know if you'd like to look at any of the architectural details. Let's keep moving then. All the way to the detail sheets, the elevations, of course. We have, the mission tile, which is 75% lifted. We have 8-inch framed walls, so all the exterior windows are recessed appropriately. Exposed beam ends that are Doug fir, they'd be stained kind of a nice brown color. Fireplace sections, retaining wall sections. We have some stone cladding, which is Santa Barbara sandstone, dry joint with some chinkas, kind of rustic style. We have an exterior fireplace, which is shown in the right-hand corner, which has a Moorish opening and tiles surround. Keep moving. All our waterproofing details, go back one. You can see we've got a smattering of, we have a rolled cornice that goes up to the copper gutters in various shapes and sizes. Again, the lifted tile, sloped sills. You can see that detail in the lower right-hand corner to almost every window. Stone thresholds, flagstone patios, and a flagstone coping around the pool. Keep moving. Again, we have our largely Steve Handelman selection of exterior light fixtures. We will be doing some custom fixtures for the interior, but Mediterranean in style. Keep moving. They're night sky approved, by the way. Civil. I don't believe we have the civil.
There was one sheet.
There's one sheet of civil.
This is the hardscape plan that shows the lighting fixtures that we have selected. We have, in general, the site plan hasn't changed as far as driveway materials and layout, and the lighting is the same as previously presented, with simple path lights for like path of travel, and then a few small LED downlights out of trees to give a moonlit effect. And those are primarily just at the drive court. Next page. This is our irrigation plan. It is the majority of which is drip irrigation with rotary nozzles in the small meadow areas that are shown below the pool and to the left-hand side of the property where there's a small meadow for dog access. Next page, please. Oh, you can keep going. This is the overall site plan showing the extent of our screening. That was a previous comment showing to make sure that we're not providing screening along within the environmentally sensitive areas or further on the entirety of the site. So this illustrates our limit of work, which is the red line, and the loosened up screening palette along the main areas where residences butt up to our proposed development. Next page. This is our landscape plan, the majority of which is the same as previously presented, with the exception of we've loosened up the hedge material and mixed the species. So it is toyon and, oh my gosh, I'm blanking, Prunus caroliniana, bright and tight within the non-ESHA areas, and then it goes primarily to just toyon on that bottom left area that goes into the sensitive habitat. But overall, the landscape has stayed very similar, where the trees are working to maximize the neighbors' view corridors while also giving a slight buffer and framework to the architecture. I think that's the majority of what has changed.
Great. Thank you. I wanted to step back for a second. There is a staff report, so if we want to just
Hmm.
on the screen, I think it was just pertaining to the zoning administrator presentation. But they made the required findings for the project, including CEQA findings. And they approved it subject to the conditions of approval, which is why you're here. Is there anything on the second page? Just the project description. Okay. All right, so we'll come back for questions from the board. Start- anyone? Anybody?
Can you review just the materials of like the driveway materials starting at the front gate?
Yes, there is a cobble entry apron, and then it goes into a gravel driveway. Would you mind going back to the hardscape plan just so we can illustrate that? There, next one up. So there's a cobble entry apron coming in from the gate, and then there is permeable gravel using the gravel pave product throughout the drive court and connecting driveway to the ADU. And then flagstone pathways and patios that go there are points of egress in and out of the house. And then there is a small amount of turf block paving on the access drive where which is more or less the current asphalt that you guys viewed this morning. But
What is that material again?
it's going to be just a turf block. It's a permeable grass paving, so it kind of filters into the landscape.
Planted out with grass?
It's
Or-
with grass.
Grass, okay. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Well, I have one question. What kind of wall heights do you have in front of the pool?
Hmm.
'Cause you have a lot of fill for the amount of cut. So I assume most of that's going to building kind of a
Patios.
for the patios and pool.
Yeah, the pool, the northwestern edge of the pool, I believe is about 3 feet high. So it's all pretty low. There's no large walls. There is a wall down on the southeast edge of the project where we've enclosed an exterior patio off the master bath, and that's 6 feet high for privacy from the neighbors. They don't have a pointer. I could point to that, but that's the only really tall site wall we have. Yeah, there we go. It's that courtyard. It's an enclosed courtyard off the master bath.
It's a set. Okay.
But it's not retaining. It's
No.
just a freestanding.
Yeah, freestanding plaster wall.
What is this element here?
Oh, that's a water tank for water storage from the well.
Okay, thanks.
What was the finished floor elevation compared to the property line? You said you were dropping it. About how much?
Could you speak into your mic a little bit? I'm an old surfer and I
What's the
can't hear.
proposed, sorry, what's the proposed finished floor elevation of the house? You said it was going to be dropped from existing grade?
Yeah, the site slopes slightly to the northwest, and so we're actually cutting in a bit and filling west. So it's a balance, try to
balance.
be balanced, but we are adding some fill.
All right, any other questions? You have a question?
Turn on your mic.
Sorry, I missed the first hearing on this. I'm just curious, what was the requirement for the site visit? Why was that?
I think it came
Required.
up because of the neighbor discussion with the views.
Mm.
Yeah. That's what the kind of comments implied. Okay, we can move on to public comment. Anyone in the audience or online? David can give you the directions for online.
Again, raise your hand if you're joining us virtually. For anyone who joins us by phone, you'd have to hit star 9 on your phone to raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hands raised, and I don't have any physical speaker slips.
All right, we'll come back for comments from the board. Start with architecture. We'll start with John this time.
No, I think it's well thought out and nicely done. Easily supported.
Val?
Agreed.
Alex?
Agreed.
Josh? Okay. Chris?
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Robert?
Yeah, I agree with the positive comments. You could put a 2-story house there, so I think you're pretty sensitive to your neighbors' concerns, which.
Thank you.
I have no further comment. Does anyone want to make a motion? Let's see. So you're here for preliminary review?
Yeah, make a motion for preliminary review to final on consent. You're almost done with final.
Yeah, we're almost done. We have a
Not
few more
scheduled for
details.
final, so.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to item 2, the Luci Fahe, you'll have to correct me, new residents, at the request of Walker Workshop. What? Did I destroy their name?
No, he's making.
Oh. They're here for further conceptual review. New residents of approximately 9,997 square feet, single-family dwelling with a detached garage, and an attached gym, and a guest house, yoga studio, and a washroom. And there's currently an existing residence of 3,500 square feet that will be demolished, a ranch office that will be partially demolished, and a barn that will remain. The address is 450 Lambert Road in the Carpinteria area. The property is 21.62 acres and will require 5,000 cubic yards of cut and 2,800 cubic yards of fill. And if we have seen this previously, would the applicant like me to read all the comments, or do you want to go through one by one? Okay, all right, so go ahead and state your name and sounds good.
Sir, I'm sorry, you had to hit the little bar to turn your mic on. There you go.
Hear me now? Okay, great. Comment A was architectural style, materiality are appropriate, which I don't have to comment further on that one. Comment B was project is well integrated by bunkering into the site to reduce its visual prominence. So again, no comment. Item C, nice concept, but significant amount of grading and square footage of development, which raises some concerns. So based upon our presentation to you about 13 months ago, I believe it was, we did do some redesign and we're able to reduce the size of the house by, I believe, about 1,700 square feet. So it has been reduced. And, you know, we have been, I feel like, sensitive to the grading as much as possible, like we discussed on site today. It is 5,000 cubic yards of cumulative grading, but we've tried to use the retaining walls that we've employed to keep as much of the dirt on site and close to the excavation as possible. And in addition to that, we have water infiltration system and fire department requirements that will require about 700 of those cubic yards of export that are required. So I think that leaves us with about 1,300 cubic yards of export for the house. Item D was appear somewhat industrial in size and alignment with long straight lines, so study opportunities to soften it and make it more organic. That was a big part of our redesign since a year ago. So we have come up with a new shape for the house, which is essentially sort of 2 interlocking Vs that are able to take advantage of both the views due south and also along the coast now, and work with the topography that's up on the lot much better than the original straight line design. Item E was need developed landscape plan to help the project to help tie the project into the site, which we brought on a landscape architect and worked with them extensively over the course of the past year to provide a landscape design. I think that they're also on the call, so if we have any questions for them, I'm sure they'd be happy to chime in. Item F was study south-facing outdoor living spaces and add shade elements, which we did extend the overhangs both on the lower level and the upper level by a couple feet to help shade the glazing areas along the south facade. In addition to that, we're employing little pockets of ground between the lower level and the upper level where we can have larger mature trees and planted areas in front of the house in addition. And then G is work with P&D staff on grading to ensure feasibility, which we are in the process of doing. I think they've reviewed our submittal at this point. And then H is need more detailed site sections, which I believe we included in this submittal. I, story poles, which we provided and saw you out there today. J is increase the scale of the site plan. So I think we do have a blow up in this submittal that includes the enlarged area around the house. And then K is show heights of retaining walls, which should be on the civil plans too.
You can walk us through the changes to the plans.
Okay, great. We have well, this view is pretty well representative. You can see instead of sort of two very long levels, we added basically a kink in them. So it's two interlocking Vs, which, reduce the overall length appearance of the length of the home on both levels. And work with the natural topography. You can go forward. These are pictures of the existing property, existing house there. I think it's item number 2. And then everything else is, you can see the existing barn, the existing garage, existing caretaker's building, which we do intend to demolish the part of it that's unpermitted right now and leave the existing original caretaker structure. Site plan, existing site plan. Going. Here you can see the proposed structures.
You can keep going since we did.
Yeah,
do the
yeah,
site
you've
visit.
seen it all, yeah.
Yeah.
Story pole plan. Representative views of the project. Materiality, we intend to use a metal roof, a dark brown color for the roof. Most of the exterior walls are naturally colored cedar siding at this point. And then the lower level is completely covered by a green roof as well, fully vegetated. Site plan again, we'll keep going. This is the enlarged area where we are doing most of the work. You can see the 2 retaining walls that we're employing that you're trying to give them a little bit more organic shape to them as well. I think that their maximum height of each one is about, is under 6 feet, if I recall correctly. And we're grading up from those to again, use some of that earth that we're displacing through the bunkering and keep it on site. More plans. This is the lower level, and this is the upper. These are the plans for the 4-car garage and gym on the second level. This is the ADU, right? The ADU, yeah. Yeah, we're going to take this off of the plans for the planning submittal since it's a ADU structure. These are site elevations for the garage and gym structure. These are for the lower part of the property, the outbuildings on the lower part of the property. Yeah, again, the ADU. We'll skip from that one. And this is the site elevations or house elevations of the upper property.
While you're on that one, are you
Yep.
asking for any variances or anything that looks
No.
like you're within?
Yeah, we're just under the height.
Okay.
These are the overall site sections. And then here we have the civil engineering drawings. It might be good to point out the location of the stormwater infiltration area, which is that big dark rectangle on the lower part of the property. I think that's contributing about 600 cubic yards of cut to the project. Yeah, these are just enlargements. You can see in addition, we're providing several sort of pull-bys for the, at fire department request and widening the driveway in a few spots, but essentially the driveway is to remain in its current location overall. Right,
Give them-
grading plan. You can see where the cut and fill is pretty clearly there, so essentially moving the cut from that lower level and sliding it down to create a pad essentially for the pool. Lower level, the lower part of the property, the grading is kept pretty minimal, but it is mostly cut. And these are the landscape architect's plans. So they can, I think they're on, they can speak to any questions that you might have about those two.
We might need to, it looks like, is Tabby?
Yeah, he's the landscape architect.
We might need to make him a panelist. He doesn't have his name raised, but, or his hand raised. But. Okay. then we can carry on. Yeah. You can go to, are you driving or, yeah, you can.
Should we bring him on? Or?
I've joined. If there's any questions, I'm here for you.
Great, thank you.
Are you removing any significant trees?
Sabi, do you have it? No, we're not planning on, I think there was one oak that.
Yeah, there's
It
just one oak, one small oak that we had to remove because it's in the pathway of septic.
I'm sorry, he was talking to me.
Oh,
No worries.
Orin, you got this one?
Yeah, so there's one,
We scroll back one. I think it was highlighted in green, the one that has a impact, or maybe two.
it's just
Yeah.
one.
It's that green, I think, is the one that's being impacted.
It's at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, it's
Right.
gonna be, if you go to, that's just a critical root zone. If you go to the right, or one page down, the site plan.
One more, David, I think.
One more.
Go one more. Oh, it doesn't show. Maybe go back 3. It's gonna be at the fire loop at the bottom.
Oh, the first page of the,
Yeah. So in this one, if you zoom in, at the fire loop, there's that one little tree.
Mm.
yeah.
I could point to it on here if you go down. So it's this guy right here.
Oh, for the septic?
Yeah, so we have the septic coming through here. And in order to basically keep these 3 beautiful trees up here, this had to shift down. So unfortunately, we had to remove this little guy. We have replacement boxes.
Sounds good. We can carry on. We can keep going. All right, can you go back to the planting plan? I think it was one back.
So I could
Yeah,
speak
do
to
you
this.
want to
if-
explain
if-
your concept for the planting?
Yeah, yes, I would. This is a pretty straightforward approach. We're really coming in with a palette of native plants for the slopes and even around the home. We do have some succulents and firewise planting addition to our native palette closer to the house. We have quite a few oaks and other native tree selections that wrap around from the north, west, and into the southern side to soften the views up to the house from downhill. And two areas of Agrostis palens as usable turf space.
Okay.
And it's a you were there today. It's quite a large site, and our area of influence isn't is as contained as possible to keep as much of it natural as possible.
All right, we can keep going. Is that the last sheet? Or did they have? Last sheet, okay. All right, anything else to add?
I think so.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Yeah, can we go to the section page? It's a few pages up, the side section here. Quite a few. You keep going. I gotta go. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. You're there. Can you blow up the wherever the house is, either the top or the bottom? Yeah, because it's hard to see like that. Yeah. Okay. One of the two, just if you can put him on the screen. Yeah, there we go. Maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, so the edge of the pool, how do you screen? I guess you're raising the grade at the pool, so there is no side.
Yeah, it's only a foot or two exposed
I see.
at
Okay.
the end. It looked much more exposed today because the grade wasn't there yet.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
To piggyback on that question, the retaining wall that's to the left of this, so we'll have to scroll over a little, David. What's the highest, the most out of grade you are with that retaining
I
wall?
think it's no more than 6,
That's the one that's
Yeah,
no more than
but-
6, okay.
predominantly less than that because it tapers down as you wrap the corner beneath the grade.
Okay,
Yeah, and hold on, let me add to that. So you're not proposing any more landscaping on the downslope. You're gonna leave it as is.
Leave it intact. Yeah.
What's the material of the retaining walls? Or what's the finish of them?
And the intention is to be a neutral stucco color. which We would probably then screen with vines or screening.
Gonna
screening
plant
plants.
on?
Yes, yeah,
Like in front of the walls?
yeah.
are you proposing to like rejuvenate the agriculture around the, like, there's avocado trees on a lot of the property, but in there it's really thin. Are the owners planning to like use that as screening or do away with avocados?
I don't think they plan on doing away with the avocados, but I haven't had that specific discussion with them since it hasn't pertained to our scope of work.
Outside the limit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another question. Where can we see the flat work, the concrete patios, and what page would that be?
That might be a question for Tavi. Let's see if he has, probably maybe on his landscape site plan.
Yeah, the landscape site plan will show that. And there really is a limited amount of flat work on site.
There should be an enlarged one, like maybe the next couple more. Keep going.
Upper enlargement.
There it is.
Oh, is the layout and the planting combined?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we could zoom in a bit.
Yeah, just closer
Zoom in
to
so we
the
can see,
house,
yeah.
closer to the house. Yeah, bigger yet.
By the way, when you guys come back, we need files that are 30 megabyte maximum.
Okay.
So if you need to break this up, this is what happens. It's very
Gotcha.
cumbersome for
Okay.
the system.
So it's fine to break it into architecture and landscape separate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and multiple architecture if you have to, yeah.
Yeah, also reduce size PDF, press
Mhm.
that button, things shrink. It's a good handle. So that sloped area by the retaining wall, that's where you have some low plantings. Is that that's the part that I don't quite get. I guess it's a landscape question.
Yeah.
It's-
What is that hatch referencing? The dashed?
I'm sorry, which area specifically?
So where you have it labeled limit of work, on the page,
East.
right?
Southeast.
Yeah. that hatch above the retaining wall, the curving retaining wall, what is proposed for that hatch?
So conceptually, it's just it's a native mix of medium height shrubs. I think maybe I'm not seeing exactly where the limit of work. I'm sorry, my my Zoom banner was covering that portion of the screen. Yeah, so above the retaining wall, that is medium height shrubs. We really do want to maintain the natural feel of the slope, but also preserve views from the building. So this is all yeah, medium 4 to 5 foot high shrubs and ground covers.
And you're currently not proposing any planting at the toe of that retaining wall, right? Or at the base of the retaining wall?
Correct. In this plan, yeah, we haven't developed that yet.
Any other questions?
Yeah. If it hasn't been asked already, what kind of paving are you gonna proposing for these driveways?
We have it's currently all called out as asphalt. I think we're still discussing if the motor court turns into a higher level of finish or not, but currently it's all asphalt.
I have a question also about the, you want to scroll it back down, David? And actually, it might be even better with the elevations, but you're showing some sort of, on the rooftop garden, if you will, some significant plants billowing out and really softening that. But in the elevation, it doesn't, I'm wondering if you could just sort of walk through the plan for that plant type, soil depth of that rooftop. I want to see if that's actually, do you have enough soil in there to get some really significant planting?
So we do in this upper left corner of the roof, that is natural grade where that Catalpa is located. So we are able to get some higher planting there. Exactly. And then the rest is again the Grassus pallens turf, and then some lower native ornamental planting, not particularly tall plants. We're trying to preserve those views from the main residence looking out over the patio, out over the yard.
On the surround here, that's what? Size wise, I guess, or what's the soil depth in there? Is that just a tray rooftop?
Yeah, I believe we have well, it's built in, and I believe we have about 12 inches of soil depth there, and we're talking about some
That's right.
grasses in that space.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one question. What are your plans for maybe adding some screening to the left of the driveway in the northwest area? Because you're quite exposed to a lot of other houses in that area.
From a planting standpoint, we have this whole grove of oaks that we're proposing, so that area between the driveway and the home will have quite a canopy coverage. Also, the house is set lower than the motor court above it, so the views from the north and west we'll just be seeing the tops of those trees. I don't believe there's going to be much roof or house visible.
Well, I'm talking more diagonally to the west.
Here?
Due west?
Yes, exactly there. Because you have good oak canopy screening to the north, but it's very open there. Are you proposing any additional oaks or larger planting in that area?
On that slope, there's definitely room to put more oaks in there. I don't currently have that on the plans, but something we could definitely evaluate if it's a necessity.
Okay, thank you.
can move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak?
No hands raised.
Hands raised? Okay, we'll move on to comments. We'll start with Josh this time.
So I generally like the project. I only have one comment on the site. There was some discussion I think I heard that the idea was to leave the general surrounding landscape and site areas immediate to the house, the main residence, specifically the eastern slope, in a natural state, although it's already been kind of cultivated for agriculture, so there isn't really much of a natural state there. Something I would like to make a comment on is I would look at the existing avocado orchard and either maintain it and improve it and plant it, or remove it and try and get it to a more natural looking environment. I think a couple things could be some sculpting or some native planting, or adding maybe some boulders here and there to try to naturalize what looks pretty unnatural at this point, or cultivate it as a landscaping project. I don't care what, but I think it looks a bit stark. So I think to summarize the comments, they study the eastern slope adjacent to the main residence and look for ways to improve the design or improve the natural condition. Other than that, I have nothing but positive comments about the architecture and I think Ward's going to appreciate the changes. The project seems to conform more to the natural topography, and the architectural style seems appropriate to the neighborhood. The quality of materials and detailing seems very high. The mass, bulk, and scale and general siting of that proposed work seems very appropriate and in conformance with the neighborhood. So I think it's a beneficial project and well designed overall. So I don't have any specific comments on particulars of it at this point. That's my comments.
Alex?
Well, I do think, I agree. I think it's a beautiful project, well done, well shown, well designed, well presented. The typical problem in this type of projects is when you have a beautiful view, is the property owner would like to see all of it, and us protecting the public views would like to somewhat block some of it. So that's the tension on the southeast, of I think I would like the landscape architects to have some idea of how to do that. I mean, how to do something that makes everybody happy, because I do agree that the southeast views are a little bit exposed and could be improved. But anyway, very nice project. Thank you.
Well, I agree with those comments. I especially like the way it blends in to the topography, and in a very subtle way and sophisticated way also. So bravo.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a big improvement over the first presentation, and it's very interesting geometrically, the two opposing shapes that you've worked with the contours. I too am very focused because it's such a large house with other large buildings as well. There's tremendous impact on this hillside. And though the finished product is going to be nestled in, there's going to be incredible upheaval to get there. And I think that southeast hillside that's been spoken about, I feel really strongly it needs a lot more thought and some trees, some variation. And, views don't go away when they get framed. They actually get enhanced. So it doesn't have to be that wide open to actually be even better. And I think I like the way you've curved the retaining walls, but maybe you could look at some of them being stone instead of stucco. Natural stone is a feature throughout the hills here, and it could be a real visual enhancement to do that. And then the northwest corner of, next to the driveway is the other place where you're very exposed to the other neighbors. And I think you could do more to kind of screen the house from them with scattered oak trees and just paying more attention to that western side of the drive as it comes up. Because you've got great natural screening already to the north, but the west and northwest is too vulnerable right now. So, but architecturally, it's great. Thank you.
Robert?
Yeah, I agree with the positive comments. I think it's a really nice project with the way that it's bunkered into the hill. I mean, the thing has less impact visually, in my opinion, than the existing house that's there, and that was demonstrated by the story poles that were there on site. I agree with the comments that there needs to be further study related to the existing landscape of the avocados on the site. I think that they should be located on your landscape plan, and then there should be a study of how your new landscape it potentially integrates into that, or like Josh was saying, are you going to augment the avocados? Or are you going to go away from them? But you know, you have this contemporary home with native landscape that's kind of placed within an avocado orchard, and I think there's the opportunity to have a clever interface between the two that hasn't really been realized yet. So I'd encourage you to study that. I agree with the comment that the retaining walls would best be suited to be either like a natural color that kind of blends into the landscape or a stone finish. I think that would work really well. I don't think they should match the house. It's going to kind of compete with the house, in my opinion, and any planting that can kind of help them go away would be great. And then I think that your pool area and the deck and spa, just make sure that how that's all laid out. It's going to be functional for whoever's going to live there. Right now, there doesn't seem to be like much shade or like protected space. So if it was me living there, I'd want to have some kind of protected space out there. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful pool area. And then I'd also encourage a landscape architect to bring a rendered site plan. I mean, your site plan is clear and legible, but I don't think it really sells it in a great way the way it's presented. So a rendered site plan would be nice to see. But I think your project's great. I support it.
Okay, yeah, I agree with what's been said thus far, especially regarding this southeastern slope. And it, yeah, I think it needs more work to integrate it into the site. And one way to do that might be to give those walls some more form. But all, you know, like this wall running parallel and this runs parallel, and it's sort of like an engineered, oh, that's my drawing, never mind. Drawing. Can we go to the first page, please, David?
I can draw it for you.
Yeah, there we go. Just that rendering. So these, and maybe, no, that's good enough. So, you know, these walls running parallel, I think, and then sort of this engineered looking slope. I know you're trying to maximize your use of the fill, but I think just trying to naturalize that a little bit more would be helpful. And also, you know, there's a lot of roof exposed to that southeast, which you'll see from various locations. So I think integrating some sort of strategic tree placement, I think Val sort of hinted at that, you know, maybe where you have blank walls to sort of help to, you know, break up that, the mass of the roof line, I think would be helpful. Same goes with the north west corner, just again, to help sort of nestle this thing in. So yeah, a little work around the edges. Definitely you can make those walls disappear with planting, but it could be that it may help to terrace them out a little bit in a few areas, but really just to naturalize that. And then a couple plants on the plant list that I would want to remove. One would be the Echium, which is rather invasive, and you're pretty close here to the wildland interface, so that one should probably be removed. And then the Platanus, the sycamore, you know, to me it's a riparian species, and you're kind of up on a ridge here, so it's not, it just didn't seem totally appropriate to me. And also, you know, it's when you look up into the mountains and you see that fall color, it's bright yellow. Usually it's in the arroyos and the streams and up on top of the hillside. And I'm grappling with it, but just a suggestion. And beyond that, I think I agree with the previous comments. It looks a great improvement over the last iteration. So I think you're in good shape.
I'll just add, I agree with the previous comments, especially the positive comments, and to study that side. And I think just studying the view angles from the lower roads and the public views to your advantage, because I don't think screening the views up to the project are going to impose on the views from the residents if you place the trees in at the right topography. So, and then just studying on these properties that kind of the limit of work is so much smaller, on a larger parcel. Just studying those transition, I look, maybe even it's just a really curated hydroseed mix that transitions it back into the natural areas, but something so that you just don't have those hard edges. But I agree with the comments to just look at what that material is on the retaining walls. I'm questioning whether that one, the one on page right is even necessary for a section, or if the grade can just taper off over there. But yeah, so.
Also, lastly, if you're going to, it'd be nice to update these renderings to show the proposed landscape. So we have kind of a better idea of, because you have a lot of areas that are succulents and then a lot of naturalistic. So it'd be nice to sort of, and especially when I was discussing what the planting will look like on that rooftop. Because I think right now, again, you're showing kind of looks like 3-4 foot shrubs, but the discussion was for smaller things. So we kind of want to see maybe a more accurate depiction.
Okay, so you are here for further conceptual. So does the board feel like it's ready for preliminary? Back for preliminary full board? Okay. So we don't make a motion for conceptual, you just come back for preliminary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, move on to item 3, Artigas Echegaray addition and guest house at the request of Tom Henson for Patricia Artigas and Lucas Echegaray. It's here for conceptual review. The project is at 4131 Marina Drive in the Eastern Goleta Valley Community Plan area. The project is a conversion of a 430 square foot garage into habitable space, new attached garage that encourages into the front yard setback, a new guest house of 726 square feet that's within the setbacks, and the following structures exist: a single family dwelling of 1,900 plus square feet. And the project requires 42 cubic yards of cut and 4 cubic yards of fill, and is on a 1 acre parcel. So you can state your name there. Let's see, it was not heard, so we don't have any comments yet.
I'm Tom Henson, and this is Morgan Solorio. This project is currently, it's a little like 2,100 square foot storybook ranch style house, very humble. And the owners want to, two main things. They want to add a 2-bedroom guest house so their kids can come stay there when they visit from out of town. And that's in the lower left corner of the property. And then the way it currently sits, the garage opens to the back, and there's an asphalt driveway that goes right down the middle of the backyard, and the backyard's pretty compromised with that there. And their dream is to convert that into like a natural meadow feel and get the driveway out of the backyard. So we're proposing to move the garage to the front of the house. The front door is on Marina Drive, and most of the neighbors have the garages in the front. So we want to convert it so the driveway and the garage are in the front of the house rather than the back, so the backyard can become much nicer. All of the houses along Marina, or almost all the existing houses, encroach in the front yard setback, and ours is no exception. And Hope Ranch was fine with that encroachment, and they were fine with the garage going to the front yard. We already have clearance on a variance from Hope Ranch. Now we're coming to get your opinion now that Hope Ranch is good with things. Maybe, do we advance or do you?
Oh, you can, yeah, just tell us when you're ready.
So these photos, see it from here, that, I don't know if the top is, I think the top is Marina. And you can't see too much from the road. Then going down to that's in front of the house. And the back of the house has a rear elevation number 8. It has a sort of a not so nice metal patio cover, and they want to take that off and put a shade sail structure. No, not high, but they like contemporary, and they want to lean toward contemporary, more streamlined ranch style. And that's the direction we're going for the guest house. And we're doing a bit of a yin and yang thing. The guest house is going to be wood, stained wood with a standing seam metal roof, non-reflective, dark color, like per Hope Ranch guidelines. It's actually a roof they recommended. And then the house will be the lighter off-white, not yellow. Keeping the same roof on the house. Looking at this front elevation, the garage is on the left. And we're proposing to pull the garage forward so it can enter the motor court sideways, because nobody wants to see garage door. Hope Ranch, or I don't think you want to see the garage doors facing the street. So maybe next slide. So at the upper left, you see the existing house, a primary suite and 2 small bedrooms. And at the lower right, you can see we're converting the existing garage into a family room, mainly for when their kids come visit. And then the new garage is going up above that. And then, yeah, the shade structure came about after intake. So it looks like 2 pergolas, but the pergola on the lower left of the family room has become a shade structure. Next slide. This is the proposed guest house, just a little sitting room and 2 bedrooms, 1 for each of their kids. It's tucked in the lower left corner of the site, but out of the setbacks. Hope Ranch was fine with going to the setbacks in the front because all the houses in the neighborhood did, but they didn't want us to encroach on the setbacks on the south. So that's why it's tucked up where it is. Next slide. This just shows the roof plan. Nothing too revolutionary. We're just adding a gable on the right side of the new garage addition, 1 story, slightly lower than the existing gable. So we have like bookend gables like we do now, only it's extended forward. Next slide. So at the top is the existing and proposed elevations. The element you see on the left is the garage that's pulled forward. So we can get the sideways garage doors. And then side elevations below that. Next slide. At the top is the rear elevation. The very top is existing. Below that is proposed. And the lower elevation shows the existing west elevation. And then below that at the very bottom shows the garage, like the side facing garage door. Next slide. This is the proposed guest house, again, like a streamlined version of Ranch, more contemporary. They're hoping to eventually do this to the main house too, but that wouldn't happen. That's not going to happen for a while. Next slide. Where's that? That's it. So we have the variance from Hope Ranch for the front yard, allowing the garage to be in the front yard setback, and I believe we need to get a variance from a mod from the county.
We actually had story pole photos in that second PDF. If we could
Oh,
open
yeah.
that one up. Next one. There we go. If you kind of zoom in, we had story poles up for Hope Ranch.
So I think you need to get a little closer to the mic.
I'll let you.
Yeah, for the variance with Hope Ranch, they wanted to see story poles. There was a neighbor across the street that wanted to make sure it wasn't in view. We put the story poles up and it didn't block her view at all. And she's fine with that, but these show, the lower right is story poles at the guest house. And then up at the top, that's the new ridge coming through on the left of the garage. It's the existing garage gable is like 4 feet out of the ground. So the new ridge looks tall, but it's not. It's 8-foot plates, and the new ridge is lower than the existing ridge of the main house. But it's that storybook style where the wall comes down to like you can't stand at the front part of the garage. So I think that's next time you'll see landscape architects working on it. It should like the natural meadow look. The driveway, you can see the backyard's pretty barren now. There's just a driveway through it, and they want that to come out and then like again have the natural meadow with gravel pathways meandering like from the guest house up to the house. There's an ocean view looking to the southwest and also a drainage course, so that that's why we put the guest house on the left side, and I think that's about it.
There is someone raising their hand. Andy. Oh no, I think it's for a different project. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move to any questions from the board.
I had a couple quick questions. The bottom of the property, there's a sliding gate, right? That's going to be replaced. Is that open or is it new?
We're going to keep a gate there. We're just going to make it a little bit nicer. The fire department wanted access there, and the owners wanted gardener access there too. So we're proposing to keep the gate, but just make it nicer. And
Do you have a picture or is it an open?
oh, that gate we
Iron
wanted to
gate.
keep closed, but we're also proposing entry gates at the front of the house, and that will be like half open, half closed. Like the top will be open.
The sliding gate is
Sliding gate,
wood?
they want to keep mostly closed. I think the landscape architect's working on that design, and you'll see that, next time.
And then it looked like there were some oak trees are significantly impacted by the guest house. Do you have arborist
We do.
on that?
We have an arborist letter saying that we worked with the arborist to locate the guest house. That we had like a lot of parameters, the setbacks, the view. And the arborist told us if you stay like at this distance, you're disturbing, I think we're disturbing something like 12% of the drip line. He said we were well under the guidelines of 20%.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak on this item?
Well, we do have one hand up.
Yeah.
We can just see what
um,
that's about.
Looks like Andy Cabot, are you wanting to speak on this item? You can press *9, right? Or he's a panelist. so you
No,
can-
I am not.
Oh, okay. Your hand was up, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay. So moving on to comments from the board. We'll start with Val.
I think it looks fine to keep moving forward, and I would support the mod for the garage. I think it's much better to get that driveway out of the lower portion of the property. So, yeah, positive comments.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I appreciate your getting rid of the Snow White effect that was so popular in the 50s and 60s.
I just have a comment. Can you go to the elevations of the small unit? Minor comment, kind of maybe picky comment. Yeah, if you can go to the, what is it, the east elevation? Yeah, the east elevation. Why is that, I'm sure it bothers you too. How come is that door is off center? I mean, what happened there? Talking about the door off center from the roof,
It's a corner. It makes more sense when you see it in 3D.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. I see what you're
It's a
saying.
corner,
Okay, all right,
corner door, and it's the nice view, yeah.
very good.
Anything to add?
Chris.
Yeah, no, I think it looks good. Also, we'll just look forward to seeing a landscape plan. And then can we go to his site plan? I just think you could maybe turn off some layers. It's hard to read what's going on there. I had to really zoom in.
Yeah.
A lot of overlapping information, maybe break that up a little bit to multiple plans if necessary, so we can get a real clear picture. But otherwise, I think you're on the right track.
I agree with the positive comments, and it's nice to see a guest house that's proposed in Hope Ranch. It seems kind of subtle and quaint and fitting to the property and relating to the main house. And so a good project. That'll be nice to see the landscape plan.
I agree with those comments. So you were agendized for conceptual review. So do we feel like they could come back prelim and final if they have full landscape? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll agendize you for prelim and final full board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
for this project, it is a modification request. So
Whatever.
because of that, it's a little bit different. Yeah. So
Okay.
it should return for preliminary only, and then they'll have to go to the decision maker.
Yeah, and then you'll come back to us, but
Okay.
okay.
Can we do that preliminary and consent to expedite and then send it back to?
Can we do preliminary on its own consent? I don't think can.
Thank you.
That, yeah. We'll just make it really fast. Okay, thank you. Move on to item 4, the Lacumba Country Club renovations, the request of Laurel Perez, agent for Lacumba Country Club. This project's here for conceptual review, and it's located at 4015 Via Laguna in the Hope Ranch area. It's a renovation and interior remodel for the existing clubhouse of approximately 9,087 square feet, demolition and replacement of the existing interior bar, new exterior patios, enlarge some of the existing patios by 3,500 square feet, new interior exterior fireplace, repair and replacement of doors and windows, grading, lot improvements, and a new tennis court. The Lacumba Country Club currently exists on the property, and this project will require 1,900 cubic yards of cut and approximately 500 cubic yards of fill. And the parcel is 2 acres. So this is the first time we're seeing it, so.
That's right.
And thank you to Ms. Perez for your quick email this morning.
Thank you, David, for notifying us. Appreciate that. Sorry about that. Laurel Perez with SEPS, Planning and Permitting Services, on behalf of Lacumba Country Club. And this project is being processed via an amendment to the existing conditional use permit that authorizes the Lacumba Country Club and related uses. Just want to point out there are no changes to proposed uses, no change to membership numbers, no change to intensification of use. It's a clubhouse remodel. Let's see. It primarily is focused on an interior remodel to the clubhouse, although there will be some exterior changes proposed, and the architects will walk you through that. The project includes an addition of outdoor patio space of about 3,500 square feet. There's also improvements to the existing parking lot in front of the clubhouse to address issues related to circulation, a really odd parking configuration that exists today, and drainage issues. So a portion of the project is going to address drainage and stormwater management. The design team has been working with architectural historians post Hazeltine, and I believe Tim is online in case your committee has any, or your board has any questions. To ensure that the clubhouse, which is a G.W. Smith original structure, that the renovations will not result in any impacts to the historic integrity, structure itself. Let's see. In addition to the clubhouse renovations and the parking lot modifications, there is a proposal to add 1 new tennis court in the location of the existing 6 tennis courts and tennis pavilion. And you'll see that on the bottom right-hand portion of that plan that you're looking at on the screen. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Dan Weber with Anna Kappa to walk you through the plans.
Good. And Dan, just before you get started, our purview is mostly exterior renovations, so you don't have to go through too much.
Sure, I'll make it fast. Okay. I've also got Jessie Finicum Schwartz from my office here, who's the project architect. So she may need to jump in if we need help answering some questions or adding some detail. So let's start off on page 4 of the PDF document, please. Like Laurel mentioned, the project is, I would describe this as 3 big chunks of work to make it easier to digest. One is a parking lot reconfiguration at the entry and arrival of the club. So that image at the top right kind of shows that big asphalt field at the entry. Chunk number 2 is a substantial remodel. We're tearing down a portion of the one room of the clubhouse, which is you can see in the bottom right image, just kind of that bottom right corner of the clubhouse. There's a flat roofed patio room that we're gonna demolish and then build a new addition there. And then the big chunk number 3 is this one new tennis court, which is remotely located from the clubhouse. Okay, so let's go to page 12 of the PDF. Okay, where our sheet numbers are messed up. Yeah, now 2 back. There we go. Okay, so on this sheet, you're seeing the highlighted in gray. That is the portion of the building that is going to be demolished and then rebuilt with a new form. We're adding some new patio areas adjacent, and then to the right of that, those 2 areas that are shaded in gray down by the pool. That's a separate project which you guys already have seen. You gave us final approval for that, and that project is underway. Okay, let's go ahead to sheet. Page 19 of the PDF, sheet A062. There we go. Okay, so bottom of the page, you see the improvements to that parking lot area, which is today just a large field of asphalt. So we're organizing the parking in a way that makes a little more sense to give a more formal arrival experience to guests visiting the club. And then right in front of the front entry, you see that kind of roundabout arrival area to drop off guests and a bunch of landscape improvements. There's new planting tree islands in that parking lot, which we'll show you on the landscape plan. Okay, let's go ahead to sheet A091. Should be page 22. There you go. Okay. So this demolition plan, I think, is the most clear diagram showing the scope of work of the existing clubhouse. The top top left corner, that's that flat patio room, which we're demolishing entirely and building a new building. The other areas are interior remodels, with the exception of some exterior openings, new doors and windows, and improvements to some of the mechanical systems and accessibility improvements in the restrooms that are in the bottom left corner. All right, let's go ahead to A103, or sorry, A101, page 26. And this is the proposed floor plan. I know you don't want to look too much at the interior, so I'll keep it quick here. The main entry to the clubhouse is at the bottom of the page. There's an existing colonnade, which is all going to be retained. Thanks, Jesse. A new front door as you enter the clubhouse. Then you're in the deep area of the clubhouse, and right in that, that room right there. This is deep in the middle of the clubhouse, and there's not a lot of natural light in there. So we're proposing a new vaulted cupola element that, as you can see, is set at the closest, I think, 45, and at the furthest 75 feet away from the edge of the building. So I don't think it's going to impact the the architectural experience outside, but you'll see that cupola in the elevations. I just wanted to show that. And then the large room that we're adding is that big room on the top left. Yeah. So that's a new addition. And then both to the north and to the east of that, or sorry, to the south and the east of that room are some nice new terraces for outdoor dining and places for members to sit outside and look at the view. All right, let's go straight to the elevation. So that's page A201. So at the top of the screen, you see the entry elevation. That's the really long elevation that faces the parking lot. The portions of the original building, the George Washington Smith building, are hard to distinguish because there's been so many additions and modifications to the building over the years. But the most kind of intact portion is that big gable form at the left. The colonnade, which we're retaining, is not part of the original design. And that entry door, that is where the door is currently located. All we're doing on this elevation is replacing the door itself. And you see immediately below the door some new stairs. Today, the parking lot is at floor level of the club, so we're gonna depress that parking lot by a bit to solve some of the drainage issues, give the building a little bit more stature, and so we need to add some new stairs and some accessible entry. You see that ramp at the left of the building. So the third drawing down, you see the other side of the building. This is the side of the building that faces out towards the golf course. From grid line 4 over to the right, so grid line 4 to grid line 1.1, that's our new addition. So we're demolishing that flat roofed patio room that's there, which you can see in red below, and replacing it with this new addition we're trying to keep in consistent with the original George Washington Smith style architecture. It's got an outdoor fireplace facing out onto that patio, and you see those new patio spaces to the right of the image. In the grill room, between grid lines 6 and 4, those openings, those 1, 2, 3, 4 openings are there. They have fixed glass in them. All we're doing is replacing those openings with operable doors so it can spill out onto a new patio, so people can sit outside and have a drink right there. All right, let's go ahead to page A202, page 29. The top elevation, no changes to the form or the architecture. We're replacing some doors and windows in the men's grill on the top right of that drawing. And then the third drawing down, this is the east-facing elevation that looks out towards the pool, and you see our new addition there between grid line. Yeah, yep. From there over is our new addition and new terraces. All right, now let's go look at the tennis court. So that's page AT051, should be around page 32. Okay, so you see the existing tennis facility is that gray rectangle at the left. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 existing courts. We're adding that last one on the far right. And you see it gets close to the property line there. We've been working with the neighbor to the right next to us. There's no fence line on that property. That hillside is just a natural hillside, so it spills up and climbs significantly above that tennis court. And the residence that's adjacent is several hundred feet away. We have some retaining on the right side of that tennis court, which we'll show you. So let's go ahead to page AT101, page 33. Zooming in on that last court. This court's located a little bit higher than the court right next to it, so we do need an accessible path of travel that's shown at the top of the page to access that new court, and a little spot for benches and people to put their stuff down while they're waiting or changing over in a match on the right side of the image up against that hillside. Okay, let's go to AT202, page 35. Yeah, this is showing you how we're dealing with the grade and that new accessible path of travel up to the court, and then these kind of cascading retaining walls that are holding up that hill on the left side of that image. Let's go to the next page, please. Next page. Looking for that rendered elevation. Okay, AT 101. No, sorry, AT 201. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So now we're on that bottom image. Is you're standing on the tennis court, looking to the south at that hillside. We've got a low boulder wall. Then we have about a 7-foot high wall that's clad in sandstone that's doing most of the retaining, and then a couple loose boulder walls above it. And we'll show you on our landscape plan. That's going to be very beautifully landscaped there. All right. So I think we're done there. Let's go to landscape plan, page 39, L0.0. So overall landscape plan for the areas that are being touched, that are immediately adjacent to the clubhouse itself. We do have a representative of our landscape architect on the call if we need to ask questions, but I think for expediency, we'll not present that in detail right now. So we've got row of new trees at the new improved parking areas and updated landscaping in the areas that are going to be disturbed by our construction and new accessible paths of travel. And then let's flip to L3.3. So this is just showing you some updated landscaping in the area of that tennis court as it terraces up those hills with those sandstone walls that are stabilizing that hill. And again, our landscape architect can get into any of the detail about the proposed plantings.
Can we just zoom in on the legend since we couldn't see it last night? This is the first time, just so we can see the species.
Sure.
Cool, that's fine.
And I think that's all I've got to present. Jesse, was there anything else that you wanted to add? Okay.
We have a planning plan for the parking lot area also?
Yeah, we do. If you go back to L0.0. Sorry, flip forward. There was an enlarged version. I didn't catch the sheet number, but if you go forward in the set. There we go.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think Cameron, are you on the call? Is that? Yeah. Can you give us an idea of what the kind of trees we're looking at in the parking lot?
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Somewhat.
1, 2, 3. Hey there. Chair Gilliland, thank you. Yeah, in terms of the arrival court planting, I think we're looking at primarily for the larger shade canopy trees is we're looking at a mix of olives, fruitless olives, and coast live oaks, as well as palms. And you'll notice along the north frontage, if you just scroll up a bit on the plan, the north frontage is heavily shaded and the building is quite low. Single-story building is quite low, and those planter areas between the parking and the building are quite narrow. So we're focusing on upright plant material that we can get in there as well to kind of make an impact for this arrival experience. And so we're focusing primarily in this area on oaks, olives, and a mixture of various palms. And then over on the west side, you'll note there's a palm court there as well. We're kind of focusing on enhancing both of these entries with a combination of palms, olives, and oaks, I think primarily. And our plans are not fully developed, obviously, at this point. What we're showing is kind of green hashes of planting areas, and we've started to introduce the trees in some of the larger moves. But I think these plans are early in concept, and so we're just looking for initial feedback there.
Thanks. So the finger planters are those olives?
Correct.
Okay. And while we're asking questions, because I think we're just about there, right? Is there a reason those are not in the typical location? Like, I'm just gonna see here. Like they're
Out
put-
shading the parking lot more.
yeah, exactly. Can those be pushed out into the parking more to get more?
We had pushed those back based on our need to get loading and unloading trucks through the site for the food service component of the project. So we need to make sure we had a pretty high clearance to get our deliveries through here.
Yeah, no, there's another factor, Chris, and it's if you go up to the club, the main entry is from the left of the screen coming up through Hope Ranch. And as you arrive in that motor court, the views out to the west of the mountain range, that's like a treasured and a huge feature of that arrival experience that we really can't mess with. So we debated the placement and type of those trees and whether or not to have trees at all in order to preserve that view. So pushing those out allows that view corridor to the west to be maintained.
Got it.
Any other questions from the board?
Can you describe what is happening at the motor court? It looks like there's like pilasters and walls. I'm just curious what the layout is there.
Yeah, Cameron, you want to take that one?
Sure. So just a brief overview. CGMLA, our landscape architecture firm, his team has done a deep dive on kind of the historical background, and the arrival court here is kind of the big moment that's part of the property. And we've sought to elevate the arrival experience to the clubhouse and introduce kind of more some subtle interventions that are compatible with the George Washington Smith architecture. And I think a lot of this is heavily influenced by the Andalusian farmhouse theme. And so we've looked at areas like the Lobera Theater and the Casa del Herrero to kind of understand and work on the configuration of the hardscape here. And so I think what was happening here, what we're looking at is combination on the ground plane of brick patterning. So some herringbone and soldier course brick patterning, if you want to zoom in a little bit on that space, in that central courtyard area. And what's surrounding that is the curve, the darker boulder line represents brick on edge raised curb and pebble inlay paving, and then a little bit of planter areas inbound of these 2, 4, 6, 8 plaster columns and walls that are connecting those two. So this kind of creates an entry moment as you arrive to the front entrance to the clubhouse. And there's a central water feature, which I think we're still looking at how that's actually going to be conceived, but things we were thinking about for that, important moment at the center of the motor court, are thinking maybe a carved stone bowl, something simple. And I think the Andalusian farmhouse theme informs us to do something of simple forms with really special, very specific small areas of detail. So we want to be careful and think about how that wants to be conceived. And I think this all is to enhance this arrival experience. And I think in terms of plant material, I think overall we're looking to transition to lower water use plant material for the property. But I think in this moment here and along the shady side of the north side of the building, I think we want this moment in plant material to be really important. So I think we're still developing that as well. And as I mentioned, looking at narrow plantings along the north side of the building. So let me know if you have any questions on that. I'm happy to talk more about that.
That's great. Thank you.
Questions?
I have a question. Can we go to the floor plan of the building?
It's A101.
No.
Be page 20. There you go.
Can you zoom in a bit? So the room, yeah, that's perfect. The existing bar, is that the middle section there?
So
Right
this
there? Yeah.
that room that Jesse's marking with blue is an existing dining room. It has a bar in it.
The one with the bar in it.
Yeah, that's got that big long arcing bar.
Okay.
So we're reconfiguring that room, and the bar is moving to being a centralized bar.
center.
So it's a four-sided bar. And then we're opening out onto the north with those new patio doors. There's a new little, very small patio for a few outdoor tables there.
Right. And then there's an existing patio that runs around that existing flat roof room, but you're redoing it and enlarging it, belling it out there in the,
Yeah, the
Corner?
existing patio actually only goes to the corner of that patio room.
oh, there,
So
Yeah.
you see that, yeah, Jesse, maybe you can just draw a square where the existing patio, that blue square is where the existing patio is. So they can only fit about 4 tables out there, like four little 4-person tables. So we're substantially expanding that outdoor
Right.
patios.
Okay.
So that they have, amount of outdoor dining that is really needed for a club like this.
yeah. And the existing flat roof, was that patio room added at some point along?
Yeah,
time.
if you can zoom out a little bit more, can I just point here? So the maybe I'll give you I'll draw a little bubble. The existing building was this shape. That's the George Washington Smith building.
Uh-huh.
I think there was a piece over here. So this room was added, and then later this room was added, and then later this was added as a trellis. Then it was infilled with
Right.
glass and
Okay.
closing the trellis. This room was added. So it's just had addition after addition as the buildings kind of crept south over
Right.
time.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Any last questions? We can move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online?
No hands raised online.
Go on to comments from the board. Well, I'll start with Alex.
I think it's a very nicely designed project. I have no negative comments. I think it's well done. Thank you.
I agree.
It's a huge improvement to the entry, from what it feels like now in the paving area. Yeah, it's good.
Just have a question for the applicant, just before I make comments. What kind of comments do you need for navigating the process with the county? I know we're looking at some historic structures of merit and all that.
I think that would be helpful. My understanding is that the county staff will be scheduling this project to review with the HLAC, Historic Landmarks Advisory Committee, given the George Washington Smith component. So if you were able to provide any comment on sense of compatibility with the structure, it sounds like we're getting positive comments, which are super supportive and helpful moving into HLAC. The project isn't seeking any kind of variance or modification. We believe it's going to stay at a director level amendment to the CUP. So it's really just, getting through design review and then HLAC.
Okay, well, if there's any findings that you need us board to make with regard to the CUP, any specific language in there that'll help the planning staff understand what we like. I mean,
Yeah.
or what we're comfortable with to keep it moving. So let us know.
Okay, will do. I appreciate that. Thank you. And
Mr.
Joe, if there's anything you can think of, let
Yeah,
us know. Okay.
Chair,
Yes, will do.
I don't have it yet. I don't have any exception to the project. I think it's very complicated, and it seems like an effort to pull a structure together to make it more, I don't know, interrelated and conforming to its original ideas and kind of the spirit of whatever the historical references are of this. So I don't know. I don't have any negative comments about it.
I can put that into language, saying that the board supports the improvements because they are respectful of the original George Washington Smith architecture, and a project that has been pretty much compromised by subsequent additions, and this project tries or aims to remedy some of those previous mistakes. Good enough.
No, I agree. I forgot to ask a question. Can we go back to something that shows the parking on the west side of the main building? Yeah, I think that'll work. So I was just kind of wondering what's going on right in here. Like how do those folks get in and out of those spaces? Doesn't seem to be enough room.
I think a broader site plan indicated that. So let's try.
Look back to the architectural.
Yeah.
plan, yeah. I just saw one slide that. Yeah, do they come in from another angle?
Yeah, there's a lower.
Yeah, there we go.
That's it, David. Yeah, can you zoom into that zone?
Sure. I'll try to describe what's going on there. The parking lot up there is so weird, and it's really tight. There's all kinds of goofy angles. The drive aisles are one way in some places and two ways in other places. And we unfortunately couldn't redo the entire parking lot. It's a sprawling parking lot. We had to keep our scope kind of confined. But the main thing we wanted to do is make this arrival experience really strong, especially the closer you got to the front door. So the existing parking lot goes all the way out to this arcing line, and then it starts to neck down right here and eventually hit the, turn into the driveway. So there's this space here that's a little bit wider than we wish it was. But we're trying to make sense of this, mainly this arrival experience. And so it does leave this room up here that you pointed out, Chris, that you can pull off and park into these spaces. So
the question is, how do you? I mean, there's no way you have enough room to back out and leave those spaces, right?
You're worried about the back out of that one? Yeah, that's a valid.
I would say
that valid point. We'll take a close look at the back out maneuver required for that space.
All of them in that section seem to be true, but I mean, yeah, just look at it. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate that.
What is the result in the change in the number of parking spaces with the reconfiguration?
Free for all out there, so it's hard to say.
Isn't there now parking in the middle of the lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go. Maybe zoom out a little bit further so you can, or the previous sheet I think showed the entire parking lot. And then Jesse, why don't you take that question about the parking counts?
We did have an overall reduction in parking to this upper lot. I want to say it was around 11 spaces. And we are, as a response, trying to maintain our existing count. We can't lose spaces here. So we have another remote spot on site that we are going to be adding employee-specific parking and doing shuttling to.
Last question for me then. There's a sign here, right? And is that part of the landscape improvement? Because that's kind of your, you enter in through here. I don't know if the landscape plan showed that or not, but if not, I would suggest incorporating that in because that's your entry. And right now it's lacking any sort of interest, some just bad plantings. And so it's just a suggestion to bring that up as well.
Thank you.
Another thing I think that is unique about this site is that the parking lot actually functions like a road. People use this parking as like a way of getting out of Hope Ranch. So I don't know, maybe by what you're doing and tightening it down, it's going to discourage that. Maybe that's your intent, but I'm sure you're aware of people race through there in a way that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Did not.
Yeah, there's no gates that make this club that make it so that anyone from the public can't drive right up to the front of the club. And that's not proposed as part of this project. Definitely don't want traffic coming through there just as a shortcut, but we're not proposing anything to do anything about that right now.
Generally, slowing the traffic a little bit is a desire of the clubs.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I know that we had just got public comment. Just before we leave, I just wanted to point out there was a letter of support in the box folder.
Noted. Thank you. Okay, and I have no additional comments. I agree with the previous comments. So, and we had the comments in support of the modification, correct? They're all noted. So this is here for conceptual review. It has to come back just for prelim because of going back, so. I don't think it can come back. I don't think we
Madam
can.
Chair, this
Yes.
is the entitlements associated with this project are is an amendment. It's not a modification. So you could agendize it. Let's see, it needs to get approval from the decision maker prior to getting preliminary and final approval. So that's just the next step. So if you're done with conceptual review, you could allow it to proceed forward for the director to approve the amendment.
Okay, so we can recommend that it comes back for preliminary and final review, full board
Correct.
after.
Yes, you can.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Right, and I just need to finish my 5-minute recess for 1 second. 5-minute break. Okay. Oh, I thought he was gonna. We'll take a 5-minute recess and we'll be back at 12:15.
Thank you.
Starting with item 5, the Dish Tier 3A telecommunications facility at Foothill. At the request of Chris Pell, the agent for the applicant, Dish Wireless. This is located at 3220 Foothill Road. Order in the court. Come to order. It's here for conceptual and preliminary review of the installation of 26-foot monopole cell site modification tower, SOW, approximately 48 square feet. It includes 3 8-foot antennas, 8 RRUs, 1 over voltage protection device, 1 cabinet, 2 cabinets, and there is an existing cell tower and associated equipment on site. All right, I cannot get the memos from the staff. Oh, you have it up there. So there's a staff memo. Project is for a Tier 3A telecommunications project. The facility is not exceeding 50 feet in height. The project is under an Ag Preserve contract and was reviewed with the Ag Preserve at APAC on 12/14/2023 with positive feedback. The project will be heard by the ZA. Which means it can only go to prelim next.
And the project planner is online if you have any questions.
Okay, is the applicant online?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Chris, you can go ahead and begin your presentation.
Thank you. Yeah, hello, my name is Chris Pell. I'm representing the applicant Dish Wireless for SBAR review for CUP 00024 and the co-location of the 26-foot monopole at the existing facility. If you want to go to, I think it's A3, please. That's good right there. So the monopole will house 3 antennas and 6 radio remote units. So due to the topography of the area, the site will sit on the hillside, and the antennas will be flush mounted on the monopole. And then the antennas will be painted green to match the existing facility and the aesthetics of the surrounding landscape. So avocado green. Also, we'll be installing a chain link fence around the facility to protect the site. If you want to show the photo simulations to give them a better idea, if we have those. So that's existing in the corner. I know it's kind of small. And then on the right-hand side is what it will look like proposed. We have one more sim to show from the other side of the street. Yeah, if you just, you want to go to the next slide. Thank you. And there's another look from Foothill Road, again, on the hillside. And then also it's protected, obviously from a privacy fence. That basically concludes our presentation. Again, the proposed facility meets Dish's commercial need in the county of Santa Barbara wireless standards. And as mentioned, the facility will be painted to match the aesthetics of the surrounding landscape. And I will take any questions that you have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to questions from the board.
Are you proposing any way to screen this from the road? Any vegetation or anything along this fence line that may help to disguise it, or no?
I mean, just it's existing among, the trees that grow on the hillside, kind of blends in from the road. I mean, people, driving by and, it's noticeable, but I mean, again, it, painted to match the surrounding hillside.
So that's a no, you're not proposing any new planting, correct?
At this point, no, we don't have any proposed at this time, no.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, press it one more time.
Did you say you could paint those green?
Yes, that's correct.
That'd be a good idea. Okay.
All right, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online who would like to speak on this item?
Not seeing any hands raised.
Okay. We'll move on to comments from the board. We'll start with Robert. I haven't, can't see them.
Well, this is a challenging thing that keeps coming up for this board. So it's like, where do you draw the line between what's appropriate with dotting our hillside and agricultural areas with mechanical equipment and accept it or say it's unacceptable? I guess I'll pose a question to the applicant. Did you ever consider any clever ways of disguising your equipment which might fit into the site in a way that somebody driving past it wouldn't recognize it as light on the hillside?
I mean, we were just trying to mimic kind of the existing facility that's, currently there. And, again, it is kind of on the hillside and, people are, driving. I don't know what the speed limit is on that road, but I mean, it is noticeable, but at the same time, it's, one of those things, it's, kind of in a rural part of the area. So kind of simplified the
what is the
design
height?
for us.
What, right there where it's pointing to the new dish equipment monopole, what's the height of that above ground?
So the tip is 26 feet.
26 feet.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make the suggestion that the applicant could potentially research options to conceal the antenna. I don't think that they've demonstrated that I mean, that's just, I guess, I'm going from questions to comment.
Oh, are we in comments?
We're in
We're in
comments.
comments.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll throw out a suggestion. In an agricultural area here, you might see like a water tank or something like that. I mean, maybe you could, I just typed it in because I was curious if there's people who've concealed this type of equipment in some type of like a fake water tank, and it seems it's been done. So I'm just uncomfortable with constantly saying, if one antenna is okay right there, is one acceptable 50 feet away from it? Where do you draw the line on where this thing is okay and not okay? I open up the question to the rest of the board.
Oh, we've been through it.
Mr. Chair, I have
Yes.
one.
Excuse me, it's my turn, sir.
Oh, you didn't ask permission to speak.
Here we're going down the line.
She acknowledged me. Well, in an answer to your question, the only thing I think I could say to that, Robert, is that, it's not sitting on the top of the ridge. It's down into the slope, which hides its profile from, area views. So, if it was sitting up top, protruding out over the horizon line, I think it would be a problem. It doesn't, I mean, and I'm only looking at this one picture, but I think based on where it's located, it's not sitting on the top or the crest of it. So I would probably be pushing for something like you said to screen it if it was sitting, prominently in the horizon, but it's kind of tucked in there. I don't know what color it should be painted. That's usually a fun one, but
Yeah.
Okay.
May I speak now?
Yeah. Yes, you may speak, Chris.
I don't really have anything to say.
Member
No.
Gold.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen so many of these. This is maybe the least terrible one that we've seen. So I guess there's not much. We've been through this before. It could be turned into a windmill or something, but gonna call attention to it. And so I guess it comes down to the color. And I think John hinted at a green, and I think I'd probably agree in this setting because it's not typically, if it's up against the sky, then a sort of a grayish color works better. But I think an avocado green would work in this situation. Avocado leaf green.
I have a question and comment. If that pole is 26 feet, I don't think that photo sim is really showing it correctly.
Well, if the avocados, those look to be 12-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe they're usually what, 12 to 15 to 20. So I would say it might be accurate. Hard to tell for
Do they
sure.
have a
Well-
comment to verify that?
Yeah, if you could verify
You need a
the,
site visit and story poll.
no, no. But I would also
Seriously,
like to.
That was not an official comment.
I would
They're
like
gone
to
now.
suggest, you could do some planting down here at the fence at the road to just, I mean, there's other plants along the fence line, but this is a big gap right here. So that's not a big ask to do that. And that would further screen it from the drivers.
I guess then you're relying on the property owner to care for those.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna bow out.
All right. John, do you have any additional comments?
Well, I was going to say those objects around the perimeter are 16 feet high. Is that correct?
Should we go back to the technical drawing?
Well, I mean, I think,
There.
yeah, does it give a height of those? So they're 16 feet. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I still think just painting them out is the simplest thing to do, and Valerie's suggestion of putting some planting to screen it from the road is a good idea. And does the cabinet, is the cabinet screened from the road? Do we have a photograph of that?
Mr. Pell? Where's the cabinet location and is it screened from the road? Not locate. I don't know if it's.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the sheet number. So since this cabinet's significantly, I think the height of it is only 4 feet. You can't see it from when you're passing by on the road.
Okay. Anything else? Alex, do you have any additional comments?
No, I agree with the comment of the paint. I'm just thinking that, when you walk around town, you see all the power poles. They are so much more offensive, but we're so used to see them that we don't complain about power poles anymore, but they are, they're very grotesque. And hopefully this thing will fade into the background.
Sounds good. The only thing I'll add, I think a photo sim from the east side, looking into, looking at it would be useful too. So the arrow is kind of coming from the west view, but just making sure it's not any more visible from the east. I didn't see a photo sim from the other angle. Oh. Okay. There you go.
Wait, I have a question. If you go to the first sheet of your actual plan set with the site photo that shows the antenna, is that the actual photo of what's existing in location there? And so the trees that you're identifying for screening, are those the trees that are in that photo right there?
That photo's got to be, I believe, at least 2 years old.
Oh, yeah, this is Tatiana, the planner. I think I recognize that photo from the plan set. Oh yeah, it's dated right there, 2017.
Well,
yeah.
So those are a lot more, yeah, those are much taller and more mature now. I believe those trees that you see there, the smaller ones, were planted for screening at the time that set of poles was installed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because your site plan identifies 19-foot high trees in front of the poles, and even if those are 2 years old, I don't know how they could be that tall.
Yeah, we should have used a different photo there.
Are you saying that they're 7 years old? They're from 2017?
Yeah, approximately, yeah, 2017 now.
All right, fair enough.
All right, so does anyone want to make a motion with those comments? It's here for preliminary.
So if this has to go to the zoning administrator, Tatiana, can we give this preliminary now?
Oh, sorry, I was, I didn't realize I repeated myself. Yes, we would ask for you to comment on, whether or not you'd give preliminary approval, but then it would need to go to the zoning administrator for approval before coming back for final.
So we can, we can
Make a motion for,
motion.
I'll make a motion.
No, so,
for-
Madam Chair, the project is for a CUP, so it would need to go, the CUP needs to be decided by the decision maker before you grant preliminary approval.
So we just give comments.
Oh, is it
and you can-
different for, was it mods then that needed first? I thought they could go for preliminary.
Right, modifications and variances are different, but for CUPs, we just need positive comments, and the board can ask that it return for preliminary and or final approval following the decision maker's approval of the CUP.
Madam Chair, I think it can continue to consent, but I want to be clear about the request for landscaping. What exactly are we asking?
Val, do you want to clarify or do you want me to?
Well, it's an avocado, are the avocados there or not? I mean, it's unclear how much,
I mean, I can add a comment that confirm the current status of the avocado trees and the amount of screening they provide in the photo sims. Yeah, well, and all screening to the equipment.
And could I suggest to add to that, that on the site plan to accurately locate the avocado trees with their trunk and their canopy because it's inaccurate. And then I think you should also bring some kind of like an elevation that shows the height of the avocado trees. And then the plan should specify the avocado trees need to be maintained, adequately screen the antenna. If that's how you're gonna say that it's acceptable, that would be my recommendation.
it seems a reasonable request, really.
Okay, those are comments, some positive, that so it'll just come back to us.
Well, also that it'd be paint.
Yeah, that comment I think was documented, and our preference is green, but we'd like to see samples for a color board to verify. Okay,
Do you want this to come back on consent or standard or full board when this comes back?
I think it can come back on consent if everyone's comfortable with that. Yeah, for prelim and final. Okay, move on to item number 6. The Cabot remodel edition, the request of Buildstone Architecture, the architect for Andy Cabot. Project is at 2825 Hidden Valley Lane in the Toro Canyon area. This project's here for preliminary and final review for an interior remodel and addition to existing residence of approximately 500 square feet. There's an existing residence of 805 square feet on the property, and the project will not require any cut or fill. It's on a 1.12 acre parcel. And there were a few, I'll read the comments since they were brief. Project is appropriate and well designed, and the landscape and exterior hardscape and walls and gate materials do not match the style of the residence and should be redesigned. So
I have the staff planner memo up on the screen for.
great. And there's a planner memo. The project is located within an ESH buffer and was reviewed by a county approved biologist. A buffer reduction has been approved for this project. And an arborist report was provided for this project and determined that no oaks should be significantly impacted by the proposed development. The applicant can state their name and your presentation.
Thank you, board, chair members. We do have a few things to discuss, minor changes, but I also have some photographs of some existing work to the gates that has been completed. And that was one of the responses to one of the comments from before. We've already done some upgrading, and I've got a sample of the actual wood that was used.
Yeah, you can pass it.
There are 2 auto gates, and they've both been recovered with that product, the vertical manner that it will be installed on the house itself. And the one change to the house, major change in the appearance, is the removal of the cement panels. So if we can go to the elevations, A201. Here we go. So A201, you see we've added the elevation of the new gate work to go along with those photos in the sample. And the entire house now is that same wood siding. We have opted to go with the more natural material over the entire exterior instead of doing the cement panel finish in some portions. Go to the other page of elevations, so that there you see the ends of the buildings also with the wood siding. The biologist report has requested or recommended that we add some native plantings, so we are going to make that a part of our submittal. We don't have landscape drawings yet, but those will be obviously for your review when we come back one last time. The other small item in getting our septic clearance, we were asked by the health department to remove a portion of the outdoor entry courtyard roof. So if we would go to the site plan. Yes. A101. So if you remember, the original structure is the left 20 by 40 box with the outcropped little existing appendage on the top of the page. And then we've created a 20 by 20 open courtyard and then a 20 by 20 great room on the right side. You can see there's an outdoor dining area indicated there at the entry door, which is a bifold. So that was originally meant to be a roofed open outdoor space, but we can no longer do the roof. So we are removing the roof there. So it's a completely open air exterior courtyard. Those are basically the major changes that have come about during our LUP process. Got a couple of renderings up there at the top of the page too that indicate the look and the style.
All right, we'll move on to questions from the board. Questions? All right, is there any public comment online or in person? Don't see any. I don't think there were any letters.
I think we did have one letter.
Might have downloaded it too early. Oh,
So this was, I think, submitted immediately after the first hearing, so we've held on to it for a while.
oh, okay. So there was one, yeah, there was one letter in the file that is in support from Mr. Mark Schmidt, dated, yeah, last January 4th, 2023. Okay, so we'll close public comment. And
I have a quick question. Is the wood siding that you're doing now, is it a rain screen system?
It is. It will be installed as a rain screen system, yes.
Great, so we'll move on to comments. We can just start with Belle.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I don't really have additional comments. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. It looks fine.
Very nicely done. It's, if you remember what it was, it's a plaster box, not very well done. And you gave it some character. Very nicely done.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna agree with Alex. Very nicely done. It's very cool, little sweet building.
I concur.
Yeah, I agree with the positive comments. I think it's pretty clever how there's kind of like a little outdoor space that's in the middle of the house. So, great design.
Thank you.
I can make a motion to approve it for preliminary and request that it comes back for final on consent so you can provide the landscape plans.
Second. Got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Turn that millstone into a milestone.
All right, moving on to the last item, item 7, the Amory Living Trust Garage, the request of Nick. Oh, yeah. Of Nick Baybrook, agent for Jillian and Mike Amory. The property is located at 739 Mission Park Drive in the Mission Canyon area. It's here for conceptual review of a proposed attached garage of 453 square feet, and there is an existing single-family residence of 4,600 square feet on the property, and this project requires no cut or fill, and it's on a 0.23 acre parcel. And this is the first we've seen it, so if you can state your name and.
Hello, I'm Nick Braybrook, agent and designer. And this is Mike Amory, homeowner. Yeah, this is a 1970s Tudor style property on a private road, Mission Park Drive. And they want to turn the existing attached garage into a 453 square foot junior ADU, or the garage itself is 453. So we want to replace the double garage with a new garage in front, which will be slightly smaller in depth than the existing one, so as not to be too far forward from the front of the house. And it's basically the garage is from the front of the house, it's going to look almost the same as what's there now, just pulled forward 20 feet or however much it is. And the side elevation, you can't actually see from the road. There were some additional photos I sent the planner. I'm not sure if they're on here, but from Mission Park Drive, walking down the road on the garage side, there's a lot of trees and hedges that screen it. So you only really see the garage from the front elevation, front of the driveway, and then continuing down the road to the left. So it's pretty well screened. And there's 2 existing oak trees there that it's hard to tell from the photos, but they're actually growing towards the road away from the house. So they don't really, there's probably one or 2 small branches that are going to be trimmed for the garage. But they're actually sort of growing over towards the road away from the house. So we're going to do very little trimming of the oaks, and the rest of the landscaping is basically going to stay as is. There's mature hedges around the front and side of the property. And the driveway is going to stay the same, obviously apart from where the garage is going to be. The shape of the driveway is staying the same, so that's about it. I mean, it's a fairly simple double garage.
Thank you. Move on to questions from the board.
Let's look at the.
Yeah, what is the material on the driveway currently within?
It's a concrete driveway, but it's got I guess it's crushed granite over the top of it.
Over
a layer over the concrete.
Okay.
So it's not gravel.
It's already an impervious surface. You're not digging into the root zones. You're not affecting critical root zones.
No, on the site plan, there's the circle of the root zones, and I think we were 12%. Oh, that site plan doesn't show it. That's an old one. I did.
Drip line of the oak.
It was a drip line, but not the critical root
Yeah.
zone.
When talking to the planner, we took the drip line off and we drew on the, I mean, I have a set of plans here. You can actually see what it is. And she had us draw on the, I think it's 20-foot circle of critical root zone and the percentages. And the nearest tree is 12%.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, yes. There we go. That's the later one.
Okay. Thanks. My only question.
Yeah, I have a question. If you go to the elevations, what's the story with the 2 windows facing on the facing the north the smaller one is at the bathroom and the other one is a bedroom.
Oh, yes, yeah, it's a closet. The small window to the left of the chimney is a walk-in closet. And the other one is a bedroom a window into the master bedroom.
Mhm.
We didn't really want to mess with those windows because, they're good for light and view.
But one is for the closet, right?
Yes, yeah, the small square one is a closet.
Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to public comment. I have one request to speak from Nancy Bertelson, who is a neighbor at, I think, 762 Mission Park Drive.
We have two folks online. If you like to speak, just go ahead and raise your virtual hand and then we'll call on you next.
Okay. In one moment, we're gonna, I can do the timer. Let's see. All right. Oh, okay. Okay, you can go ahead and state your name and.
Mission Park Drive is a narrow road of about 20 feet in front of 739 Mission Park Drive, which is made more narrow by a big bush from 740 Mission Park Drive, encroaching several feet onto the road, making it difficult for opposite properties to back out safely. The house at 739 Mission Park Drive has a shallow front yard taken up mostly by a circular driveway. The open space in front of the existing garage allows for a 3-point turn, so a car can go easily up or down the road. The proposed garage would prevent, I believe, a 3-point turnaround, making the road more unsafe than it already is. It also would reduce the aesthetic value of the yard's open space and threaten the survival of the two magnificent oak trees that give the property beauty, charm, and a desirable environment. There is a 40-foot right-of-way on Mission Park Drive. The center is closer to the east side of Mission Park Drive. Where is the west side of the right-of-way? How far is the front yard setback from the west side of the right-of-way? And is the front yard setback the proper distance? Thank you.
Thank you. Right, is there, we'll finish out public comment and then we can address any additional questions.
So no hands raised, but just in case there's issues with raising hands, I've given permission for both speakers in case they would like to unmute themselves and give comment on this item.
All right.
But we're not going to force you.
Yeah. Anyone else that would like to speak from online? All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment then. And then did you have something to note about the right of way?
Yeah, well, it's a 20-foot setback from the front property line as shown. And it's a double entry driveway. So even if you reverse out the garage as they do now, they reverse back and drive out the other side of the driveway or drive straight in. There's, plenty of room for maneuverability
Yeah.
there.
I think what we'll probably do is we'll leave it to the planner to determine if which is stricter for your property, if it's your setback or if it's the right of way. But it looks like spatially you're about 40 feet from your property line anyways. And so, all right, so we'll go to comments from the board. We can start with Josh this time.
Well, I don't know if I have enough information to address the public comment about the driveway backing out issues, but I see hammerheads and turnarounds. I think one of the things that it's not required in the county, but it is in the city. There's some good standards for creating visual sight lines when along the boundary of a driveway entering into a public right-of-way. So I think it's a good design practice. There should be some attempt in the documentation to add notation to the design of that boundary such that it follows a kind of a prescriptive path for limiting height of vegetation landscape materials and fences that would otherwise block the view up and down the street as one is exiting the property. So some kind of notation to that effect. Maybe using the city standard is pretty good. It's like a 10 by 10 triangle and just limits vegetation a little bit so you're not visually impaired from exiting. Other than that, I don't really have any comments on the project. I mean, except for it appears that there's adequate turnaround space for anybody to maneuver. So I think, backing out of this property might not be a mandate for the way it's designed. It looks like it allows for some maneuvering, which I think kind of helps with the public comment concerns.
We'll stay with architecture. Yes, John.
David, could we go to the elevations? I mean, I think that this proposal is really an awkward shape. And I think that the way to solve that, I mean, you have a flat roof in the middle. I think the way to solve it would take this small roof that's proposed over the garage door and turn it and extend it all the way so it connects with the roof beyond. Yeah. And that would, you'd have sort of a hip roof there. And anyway, you'd have a well in the middle. And that would solve this visual problem here. And, your window, one is a closet window, which is not important. And the other window connects to the bedroom, but I think their primary view is to the west. So, it would block that view from that small window. That other window that's shown on the, is it the west side of the building?
It's on the north elevation. You're talking about the bay window in the bedroom.
I mean, yeah, see on the west elevation, that bedroom view would be preserved. And this awkward situation, would be resolved. You would have a well in the middle, but you have a well now. And I think it'd be a much better visual solution to what you're proposing here.
Sir, can you just make sure your mic is on?
Yeah, that north elevation window does have a mountain view, which is quite nice, which they like to keep. And with it being a north elevation, keeping it a bit lower would provide a bit more sunlight to the little patio area for the junior ADU and that side. Because obviously the house is kind of high and blocks some of it. But with keeping the garage roof quite low, it does enable a bit more sun to get into that area as it moves over.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
What you're saying is you want to preserve this situation here.
Well, you don't really, that 3D thing is a little bit misleading because you don't actually see that from anywhere, because from the road coming down Mission Park Drive, there's trees and hedge in the way. So I actually do have
I think we'll just formalize a comment, and then when you come back, you can tell us how you responded. We are looking at the elevations without the planted screening. We
Sure,
looked at
yeah.
both, right?
Yeah.
So you can just formalize your comment and then carry on. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get what you mean. And we did think about like a parapet wall running along the flatter part could be an alternative as well. It's just that, we're trying to keep in a budget and sort of preserve some of the light on that side.
Okay.
So that's why this one came about.
The comments from the side?
Yeah, I'm struggling with all the different roof pitches because you've got the really steep pitch of the main house, and then there's a low slope pitch over the entry. And then this is yet another pitch. So I think it might be better as a flat roof or even creating it as some kind of a trellisy feature. I don't know. It just, it's odd the way it is. It looks like a Wild West front. Yeah.
Yeah, the pitch we've shown now is the same as the pitch on the rear part of the
Let
roof.
let us make a comment first and then you get a
Oh,
chance
sorry.
to rebut.
Yeah, we'll go all the way through comments and then you have like a minute at the end to
Right.
respond. Any other comments, Alex?
Yeah, I agree with those comments. I think I don't think we should design it for you. I think well, we have our comments, and I think the aesthetics, the architectural integrity is not there yet. Also the fact that the garage moves forward is in front of the big structure. It's a little bit awkward to begin with, but worse yet is that the conflict with all the roofs. I don't want to design it for you. I'm just saying this is not up to par. I mean, it's not. It does not match the existing building, which has some features, some value.
Okay. Joshua, you made comments, right? So Chris?
I agree. I think that, oh, hold on. Yeah, just the various slopes on those roofs are awkward, just kind of coming up, down, over, up and down again. That's odd. I think John was on the right track with how that could be fixed. Another option, might be to bring this down, even if it was faux, so it didn't extend all the way back and interrupt that window up here. But like, the way Alex put it is we're not gonna design it for you, but it's not right the way it is. So I think there's some other options that could be employed there to make it less awkward.
Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I can see the comments on that. It's awkward when you're viewing it from this side, but I don't know how often somebody's really gonna look at this thing from that side, so. Yeah, there's probably an opportunity to improve it. I don't know that it has a big impact on anybody. I don't think there's an issue with backing out into the road here. It seems you got a circular driveway or horseshoe driveway with plenty of accessibility in and out. If you're gonna have that flat area up there, maybe there's a way to connect it into the rooms or something on the other side and make it a deck or something. It's just a thought, but anyhow. Make it some kind of functional space.
And actually, just to clarify, it seems like you would see it from the side. I mean, I'm looking at the photo with the trees and you see right underneath the canopy to the house, but we don't have.
Put the side plan, is the one next door.
Yeah, I don't like picture number 4. So anyway.
Okay. All right, I'll just close out that I think generally the location, like bringing it forward seems approvable and the scale of it is within reason for the existing residents. So we just need the comments about restudying the roof angles and that elevation.
Yeah, and also trying to somehow interface with the entry roof. I mean, that's a whole nother roof feature that right now you're not really tying to in any way.
Yes, but the new roof is, I think, the same slope as that entry roof. We didn't show it connected, just because when we drew that, it seemed a bit kind of long all the way across the front, and it seemed quite like separating the garage bit as it stepped forward slightly. But now, if we're going to look at either lowering the pitch and adjusting it, then
Well, you can take a study at it and
yeah.
You have to take a look,
Yeah.
we're having comments here. The comment of the flat roof with some kind of trellises has some value, I think. It's a complete different approach, but you gotta open your mind and
Sure, yes.
it from different ways.
Yeah.
Okay?
so okay, so you come back for further conceptual and prelim too, or just further conceptual? Just for-
Part of what we
the
have to
conceptual
look at
prelim.
is four-sided architecture, and this doesn't feel like it's pretending that we can't see this, but we can.
Did you get that, David? So be further conceptual and prelim agendized? Yeah, I just think if they're ready for it by then. All right. Thank you. All right. Now-
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I'll second. All right.